Ohai. Shymkent, the city in the south of Kazakhstan, one of 3 cities of the country having the status of the city of Republican value prime as 1, is a separate administrative and territorial unit. The 17th region of the Republic, which isn't a part of the area surrounding it. Shymkent, the 3rd most populated and 1st in occupied space city in Kazakhstan, one of his largest industrial, shopping and cultural centers, forms the 2nd most populated agglomeration of the country. Till June 19, 2018, the administrative center of the former southern Kazakhstan, nowadays Turkestan, region. Shymkent was announced by the cultural capital of the census of 2020. The modern name of the city of Shymkent consists of 2 parts. The term Kent, in the Iranian languages, the city, the settlement, the area, and definitions, Shym/Chai. The component, Shym/Chai, historically had also options, than, Kamengan, Kaimin, Kiminjan, and meant in the Iranian languages, meadow, grass. According to 5v. Wartold and E.M. Mirzaev, the name of the city should be treated from the Sud, Kaimin/Jemen. A meadow, a Lugovina, the blossoming valley in the floodplain of the river, with addition of the termination, Kent. 5v. Radlev interprets, Shaman/Chiman, Ottoman of Persian, is a meadow, the turf, a god's grass, the Greek hay. 5v. Bartold also brings, from Arabas, grove, by the traveler G.N. Potanin in 1830. The cat form was also testified. E.M. Mirzaev in 1984, with links to 50.1. Erzova 1973 and to 5.1. 1972. Explains Shaman/Chemin as the turf, the topsoil which is densely bound by grassy vegetation. The settlement in the territory of modern Shymkent existed already at a boundary of the 2nd centuries BB. They found artifacts which have analogues among materials of the ancient settlement of Frosiop, Samarkand, demonstrate to it. Date 2200 was recognized after examination at the 48th Conference of UNESCO in November 2019. The celebration of 2200-year anniversary of the city entered calendar dates of UNESCO of 2020. In the written sources which reached our time for the first time, Shymkent, the Central Asian historian Sharif mentioned Yazdi's Heldines 1425 in the book Zafarnaim, the Book of Victories, at the description of military campaigns of Timur. Shymkent, as the city settlement already existed in the 6th century of our era, connecting him with the famous ambassador traveler Zhuanchang, mentioning in the notes Isfidzim, to see Rama, and on this basis believing, as Shymkent as Isfidzib suburb would have to exist. Attempt to prove emergence of the settlement on the place of the city of Shymkent in the 5th-7th centuries add on the basis of the analysis of a toponym Chim. Shay. Shymkent are materials of excavation of barrows of Skyphos formation time around the phosphoric plant on the right river bank to dietary supplements which are dated 3rd century BB, the I-2 centuries add, and also the assumption that to Shymkent more 1300. Based on existence of the sepulchral barrows located at the end of Al-Farabi Street. The I-5 centuries add. Are naive and can't form the basis for the solution of this question. It is necessary to remember that Kurgani burials and even a construction of medieval Mazarov tombs over graves notable secular and ecclesiastics were carried out often in the open steppe. Popular belief that the city existed in the 12th century. These data are taken from the book by A. The Brasmisov, the city of Serderyinsky area, where he reports the following. The name of the city of Shymkent comes from words Chai, the turf, and Kent, the city. Natives of Shymkent carry time of his emergence to the 12th century, referring to the fact that there is a grave of the Saint Babadervisha, the contemporary Hadhi Amit Yasavi. The written proofs confirming this fact didn't remain. At last the first, for today we meet the no mention of the city in the book, Sofo name, the book by the historian of Anira Timur and Timurid of Sharafuddin Yazdi, who reported that in 1365-1366 according to modern chronology Timur, going hiking to Mogolistan, found the wagon trains near Seyram, in the settlement of Shymkent. It is also the first concrete mention in written sources of Shymkent. Traces of the most ancient stay of the person in the territory of modern Shymkent are found in the form of accidental finds of ceramic vessels of an era of bronze, the 2 millennium BB, belonging to so-called Andronovsky culture, found in the region of the Maslovsk Combinate. The accidental find of a Skyphosakski bronze dagger, Akanaka around Ahim Armsavad belongs B.C. to 1000 also. To year the Dick of the Turkestan Circle of Fans of Archaeology and Ostromov carried out by B. Small excavation near the city, on the right river bank to dietary supplements, on Hill Alvakent where he found clay funeral vessels Asuari with bone remains of the person. Excavation is dated the 8th centuries. Finds of ceramics of the 0-12 centuries are noted in a number of districts of the city. The excavation, which is carried out by forces of the Shymkent Teacher Training College in 1970-1980 in the territory of Old Fortress on a citadel and near the Old City, gave the materials relating to the 15-18 centuries. City year of birth 1365-1366, considering a difference according to lunar Muslim and solar calendars. Throughout centuries the city quite often passed from some conquerors to others. At the beginning of the 13th century through the Seyramsky oasis Transoxiana included Genghis Khan's troops, then it became a part of possession of the conqueror. At the beginning of the 16th century Shymkent was a part of the Kazakh Khanate, then throughout the 17th, 18th centuries became object of invasions of the Dungarian conquerors. Despite the uncountable wars and civil strifes which harmfully affected activity of the population, the Seyramsky oasis remained a region of the developed agriculture, gardenings and crafts. At the end of the 18th century and the first half of the 19th century the Kokand and Bukhara Khanates fought for possession of Shymkent. In 1864 the city represented the military camp fortress under the power of Kokand with numerous army and the residence of the deputy of the Khan. In 1821 the Kazakh Sultan of Tentaktor headed a revolt against the Kokand Khanate. Troops of insurgents stormed Tusoris and Shymkent. However, from Kokand there arrived large forces which after several battles suppressed a revolt. In 1864, during the military operation, the Russian troops managed to fight Shymkent off Kokandets. Future Turkestan Governor-General, at the time the Colonel Cherniev, started the task with very limited means. The small group of Cherniev took Olayate's fortress. Then in July 1864 I took Shymkent, which was considered as unapproachable. Troops got into fortress on a water supply system, through a vaulted opening in a fortress wall, and the garrison was struck with sudden appearance of the enemy in a city fencing before that didn't show almost any resistance. For capture of Shymkent, Cherniev was awarded with the Order of St. George III class. From now on, the city becomes the important transit point connecting the European part of Russia and Western Siberia with Central Asia. In the summer of 1883, on the southern outskirts of the city, along the river bank to dietary supplements and near the road to Tashkent, merchants Nikolai Ivanovich Ivanov and Nikifor Prokofievich Savinkov and 1. Ivanov's son-in-law began construction of the first for the time in Central Asia of the pharmaceutical enterprise, the Santininy plant. Sanquinin Association, or Savinkov and Nikitin Santininy plant, which in the fall of 1885 produced the first 189 tons of asantanin. On its base, one of the largest pharmaceutical plants of the USSR before finding of independence by Kazakhstan, bearing a name of F.E. Dzerzhinsky. Since June 5, 1925. Nowadays by Jest Kim Farm further was organized. Now the enterprise is included into Polpharma group of companies. Poland. In 1914, in honor of the 50th anniversary of inclusion of Shymkent in structure of the Russian Empire, the name Cherniev was appropriated to the city, but in 1924 the Soviet authorities returned the former name. In the 1930th years in Shymkent the lead plant is constructed. 70% of the total amount of the lead manufactured in the USSR fell to his share. The oil and fat plant, Maychuk, hosiery and mirror factories are put into operation. In 1932 the base of agricultural aircraft, which laid the foundation for creation and development of the city airport, is created. In days of the Great Patriotic War, Shymkent became one of the cities of the USSR where a number of the industrial enterprises of the country was evacuated. From a frontline strip, 17 plants and factories were transferred here. The city made spare parts to tanks, shells, metal, lead, optical devices and other products. 2 bullets from 3-shot and fascists were made of the Shymkent lead. 7 Shymkentets were awarded ranks of the Hero of the Soviet Union. Post-war 1950, the 1980th years are celebrated by rapid growth of city economy. The construction of the new industrial enterprises, which caused rough inflow of the population, caused development of infrastructure and the social sphere. At the same time, proximity of border with Maoist China, a relationship with which since the beginning of the 1960th years became intense, and the Chuai Valley, the traditional center of cultivation of hemp, and also existence of certain contradictions in the multinational population of quickly growing industrial center, promoted the gradual growth of the negative phenomena. Transformation of the city into the transit point of delivery of scarce commodities, at first to China and then, from the middle of the 1960s years, to Siberia and Mongolia. The organization by criminal communities of drug traffic in which as couriers drivers of heavy load cars were quite often used led in 1967 to the Massachusetts protests which developed into the bloody collisions which were followed by riots of office buildings. Including a city-town committee of party, the Department of Internal Affairs, attempts of occupation of prison and punishment of the employees of local militia who were allegedly engaged in requisitions from drivers. During suppression of Massachusetts protests there were dead and wounded, several hundreds of people are arrested and condemned to long terms of imprisonment. According to official data, during the events on June 12-15, 1967 in Shymkent, over 50 people were wounded. Were established by the state security agencies of the US are guilty of cruel suppression of protest actions from among local heads of the Ministry of Internal Affairs who following the results of investigation were exempted from the positions or transferred to work to other regions. According to a census of 1897 in the city of Shymkent was 11194 inhabitants. 6185 men and 5009 women. According to a census of 1939 as a part of the Shymkent City Council. Total number of the population 91867 people. Were allocated actually the city of Shymkent. People, including the central part of the city, -63032 people and Kalanen. The area of the lead plant, -11389 people. And also the industrial settlement of Ilyich, -17446 man. Assessment of population of the city for January 1, 2022 made 1,112,739 people. The period of independence of Kazakhstan was marked by significant increase in population of Shymkent. So, by 2011 the population of the city grew by 44.5% in comparison with 2000. 629.1 thousand and 435.3 thousand people respectively. Annual growth of number during 2011 was 3.5%. Historically the city was multinational, it was reflected in modern proportions of teaching at the public high schools in the Kazakh, Uzbek and Russian languages. From 83 public schools at 28 schools. 33.7%. Teaching objects is made in Kazakh. In the Kazakh and Russian languages training is provided at 38 schools. 45.7%. In the Kazakh, Russian and Uzbek languages at 7 schools. 4%. In the Uzbek and Kazakh languages, at 9 schools. 10.8%. In Russian, at 1 school. 1.2%. In representation of the nationalities living in the city among public servants, disproportions are observed. In public authorities in Shymkent, from the total number of 466 public servants, 438, 94.0%, are Kazakhs. The representation of other nationalities living in the city is 5-6 times lower than their share in the general population. 2.8%. Public servants Uzbeks 2.6%. Russians 0.6%. Are representatives of other nationalities. By the beginning of 2015, to Shymkent attached territories of adjacent areas. See further. In this connection, the population of the city in new borders increased to people by the beginning of 2015. By then, people lived in former borders of Shymkent. After increase in the square of the city, also population density considerably changed. If in former borders she made about 1825 people/came. In new -733 people/came. Population density strongly differs between single areas. With accession of territories, also the ethnic structure of the population changed. For example, the number of Uzbeks grew almost twice from 2 people, that increased the percentage of this ethnic group to the general population from 13.70% to 18.78%. On February 19, 2013, the decision on the beginning of process of accession of a part of territories of Shymkent, Tolbisky and Ordobasinski districts to Shymkent was made. The population of lands which until the end of the first half of the year 2013 should be a part of the city is about 120,000 people. Expansion of the territory of Shymkent was provided in the master plan of the city, which was approved by the resolution of the government of the Republic of Kazakhstan No. 1134 of.
A previous expansion of the territory of the city was made on the basis of the former master plan of 2004. At the same time, process of the actual transfer of lands was dragged out for 3 years and was completed only in 2007. At the same time, numerous violations of the land legislation of Kazakhstan concerning the land plots transferred to Shymkent took place.
With the purpose to avoid repetition of a similar situation at implementation of the master plan of the city of 2012, the Akim of the southern Kazakhstan area gave an assignment on the basis of which the Akimet of area adopted resolution No. 305 of, on actions for establishment of new borders of the city of Shymkent. According to the law of Kazakhstan about the administrative territorial device of the Republic of Kazakhstan, in Shymkent, Tolbisky and Ordobasinski districts, conferences, explanatory work among the population were held. During the period from December 2012 to January 2013, decisions of Maslikat of these areas and the resolution of regional akimats which approved transfer of lands to the city of Shymkent were made.
On February 19, 2013, the extraordinary 17th session of the Shymkent City Maslikat, on which the project was considered, was held, and the resolution about introduction of the offer on change of borders of the city of Shymkent was accepted. However, according to the operating order, adoption of this resolution doesn't mean transfer of territories of 3 districts of the southern Kazakhstan area to structure of Shymkent yet. It is necessary to attend solutions of Maslikat of these areas and the resolution of regional akimats, and also the decision of the city Maslikat of Shymkent to a regional Maslikat and regional akimat, which have to make offers in the government of the Republic of Kazakhstan on change of borders of the city of Shymkent. Only after receiving coordination from the government of Kazakhstan becomes possible to carry out adoption of the joint decision of the Maslikat of the southern Kazakhstan area. Then the resolution of regional akimat will approve borders of the city of Shymkent. Only after the approval by regional akimat of borders of the city of Shymkent, the lands attached to Shymkent will be transferred according to the delivery acceptance certificate. The government of the Republic of Kazakhstan voted on August 28, 2013 for the approval of the master plan of Shymkent. According to the approved document, expansion of the territory of Shymkent will happen in 2 stages. By 2015, 29 settlements of Serum district with population of 103,840 people, and at the second stage which rated term is established for 2025 will be transferred to structure of the city, 7 more settlements. 2 from Ordobasinski's list and 5 from structure of Tolbisti district. With population of 13098 people will be transferred to structure of Shymkent. In 10 years prior to official achievement of the million population by Shymkent city authorities repeatedly expressed that about 1 million people, based on given volumes power and water consumption live in him.
Besides, on a joint of 2011-2012 within preparation of the electoral register verification of these citizens according to house registers was carried up.
According to preliminary data, published at the beginning of January 2012, data of citizens were entered in the database. For the next 2 years of confirmation to these data didn't arrive. Sometimes as the indirect instruction on higher population of Shymkent. In comparison with official statistics. Data on the number of the cars registered in the city acted. In 2011 in Shymkent about 390,000 motor transportation units were registered. According to the approved general plan of Shymkent, the probable term of achievement of population of the city in 1 million inhabitants was 2015.
However, at the end of 2014 the ACM of Shymkent assumed that the population of the city will officially reach a million point by 2019.
This purpose is formulated in the Program of Development of Shymkent for 2011-2015.
A natural increase, migration to the city because of opening of new jobs and also expansion of borders of the city to 650 km have to become factors of the accelerated growth of the population. By the end of 2016 the number of the population of Shymkent considered Kazakhstan's bodies exceeded 900,000 people. However, during the same period during explanation of need of temporary registration of citizens the ACM of Shymkent expressed opinion that the actual population of the city is about 1.2 million. At the same time in April 2017 during the working visit to the southern Kazakhstan area the President of Kazakhstan noted that the population of Shymkent will reach a million point in 2017.
Much attention at the state level is paid to development of Shymkent. This year the third megalopolis of the country will reach a million point of the population. Nevertheless, the estimates of population of the city given by Kazakhstan say that for January 1, 2018 the population of Shymkent was people, and the average rate of increase in population of Shymkent was. During the period from January 1 to January 1, 2017. On average 30 to 75 people a month, that is about 40,000 people year on year. Achievement of a mark of 1 million. At preservation the rates of increase in population which developed in 2017 can happen not in 2017, and in the first half of 2019. The population of the city for April 1, 2018 was 961,279 people, that is her gain since the beginning of year was 9674 inhabitants. 3224 in a month. It meant that at preservation of these rates 39,000 people, necessary for achievement of a million mark, can be reached in the first half of 2019. As it was assumed by the former ACM of the city in 2014.
Nevertheless, on May 17, 2018, the president of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev, said that the population of Shymkent already exceeded a million mark. Kazakhstan began implementation of the strategy of development of agglomerations. If we had only one city with the million population earlier, the city of Almaty, then Astana and Shymkent, that is 3 cities increased now. The concept of development of Shymkent as the megalopolis is adopted. Earlier, in connection with achievement of the population by Astana in 1 million, the President Nazarbayev at the beginning of July 2016 declared it. However, Kazakhstan didn't confirm achievement of the million status by Astana in July 2016, in general in 2016, and only in June of the following 2017. On June 6, 2018, the Akamat of the city of Shymkent declared that the million resident was born on May 17, 2018. On June 8, 2018, Kazakhstan published assessment of population of Shymkent for May 1, 2018. 988,894 persons, that meant gain in 1 month. April 2018. At a rate of people. It says of April 1 the population of the city made 961,279 people. At the same time, average gain for the first 3 months of year was 3224 people a month. The similar indicator of average monthly gain in 2017 was 3275 people a month. So sharp increase in the increase in population of Shymkent considered by statistics is explained by the increase recorded in April 2018 by 18.08 times of size of migration gain. At the same time, indicators of natural increase remain near usual indicators. This record migration gain became result of sharp change in April 2018 of statistics of population shift of the southern Kazakhstan area. So in the first quarter 2018, migration outflow of urban population of area without Shymkent was 1695 people a month, and in April 2018 was 4772 persons. At the same time, at rural areas of area in the first quarter, migration inflow of the population at a rate of 151 people a month was observed. And in April, migration decrease at a rate of 19393 people is statistically noted. On July 2, 2018, Kazakhstan published assessment of population of Shymkent for June 1, 2018 at a rate of 1,002,291 persons, that meant gain in comparison with May 1 of the same for about, of people, that is 432 persons a day, that meant excess of a threshold in 1 million inhabitants in 5-6 days prior to June 1, 2018. In June 2018, the size of monthly increase in population of Shymkent was reduced to 3705 people, and the population of the city was for July 1, 2018 1,005,996 people. Kazakh has the status of a state language, Russian the status of official language. Street 7.2 Constitutions of Arc. By 2012, 74% of adult population of Shymkent knew Russian, 72% the Kazakh, 9.5% English, knowing 3 languages. Kazakh, Russian, English. Minus 9.5%. According to the report of Management of Culture of the city, in 2021, 93% of residents of Shymkent knew Kazakh, 86.5% to Russian, 22.3% English. The Shymkent agglomeration incorporates 367 settlements located in the territory in 1,573.5 thousand hectares. The population of the Shymkent agglomeration by the end of 2017 was 1.8 million people. 10% of population of the Republic of Kazakhstan. That is it by the second largest agglomeration of the country. after Almaty in 2.5 million people. According to forecasts, by 2020 its number will increase up to 1.9 million people, to 2030 over 2.3 million. With use of a method of ice chromes. Our transport availability. The structure of agglomeration was defined. The area of her influence enter. The center. Kernel. The city of Shymkent, the Aristi city administration. Including areas. Baidabeksky, Tjelkabasky, Kazakhstan. Including the village of Kazakhstan. Tolbisky. Including Mr. Lengar. Ordobasinski and Sayramsky districts. Including villages Shymkent and Tusoris. Regional division in the city was introduced for the first time in 1945 when the Central, Railway and Zavodsky administrative regions were formed. By the time of the collapse of the USSR, according to data of the All-Union Population Census of 1989, the city consisted of 3 areas. Abaysky and Bikshinsky, Dzержinsk. The last is renamed in Alfarabisky subsequently. Now Shymkent consists of 4 administrative regions. Abaysky and Bikshinsky, Alfarabisky and Karata. At an extraordinary 19th session of the City Maslikat of Shymkent, the joint decision of Ikamet and the Maslikat of Shymkent on initiation of giving to the city of Shymkent of the status of the city of Republican value was signed. This document was submitted to the regional Maslikat of the southern Kazakhstan area.
On June 5, 2018, the extraordinary session of the Maslikat of the southern Kazakhstan area, at which the resolution of Ikamet of area and the decision of the Maslikat on giving of the status of the city of Republican value to Shymkent and
his conclusion from structure of the southern Kazakhstan area and transfer of the administrative center of the southern Kazakhstan area from the city of Shymkent to the city of Turkestan was adopted took place. The basis for change of the status of Shymkent is paragraph 1 of Article 3 of the Law about the Administrative Territorial Device of the Republic of Kazakhstan of December 8, 1993, where it is specified that the cities of Republican value or the settlements having special state value or having population more than 1 million people.
On June 19, 2018, by the decree of the President of Kazakhstan, Shymkent was given the status of the city of Republican value. He was withdrawn from structure of the southern Kazakhstan area, which was renamed by the same decree into Turkestan. Thus, in Kazakhstan, the 17th region, the city of Shymkent as an independent administrative and territorial unit equal to area appeared.
Shymkent is located in a peculiar natural landscape zone. In the geographical description of the Soviet Union, the location of the city was described as follows. To the south, Temilanov from the higher river bank to dietary supplements opens a panorama of the garden city of Shymkent. On its outskirts, pipes of the plants and factories smoke, and through crowns roofs of buildings are seen here and there. Around the city, the foothill hilly plain which is gradually going down to the west to the Surdaria stretches. To Shymkent vineyards, fields with crops of wheat, a cotton and dark green islands of neighboring settlements rise. The main massif of the urban area lies in the valley of shallow Sayram, who lasts within Shymkent from the east on the west parallel to Badam. On a watershed of these rivers, the part of the city is placed smaller, mainly industrial. In east part of the horizon to the review, quite extended mountain landscape entering the mountain system of the western Tian Shan opens. In the southern part of a mountain chain there is Mount Kazakhstan. Height of peak of 1768 meters, length of 20 km. Which is in 40 km to the southeast from Shymkent. Towards the north from Mount Kazakhstan the view of ridge Kazakhstan. The highest point of 28-23 m, length of a chain of 90 km. Opens. Behind this mountain the Agamsky Ridge. The highest point of 42-99 m, length of 115 km. Which stretches further for the north is located, leaving from under overlapping of ridge Kazakhstan. The most part of year of top are covered with snow. The Agamsky Ridge and ridge Kazakhstan are located in the territory of two countries, Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. In the same geographical description Shymkent was described as follows. In the city abundance of greens. Long sidewalks ranks of slender pyramidal poplars, branchy karagaki and also the high oaks hiding facades of buildings last. Vegetation of the city is characterized by an extreme variety. Here grow besides above-mentioned oaks, karagaki and poplars, the Canadian maple, a willow, a chestnut, an acacia, an ailanthus, a thuyu, a pine, a fir tree and many others. Among garden cultures cherry, sweet cherry, an apricot, dried apricots, plum, cherry plum, pomegranate, walnut, quince, various grades of grapes, etc. are widespread. Bushes are presented mainly by ligustry. Private. And in some areas blackberry. Dandelions, red poppies, cornflowers, a shepherd's pike, a clover, plant species of family sedge and cereal are distinguished from wild-growing herbs. Artificially along the central streets grow up petunias, a calendula, rosebushes, tulips, narcissuses. In the northern outskirts of the city in 1980 on the place of the former dump the arboretum was broken. In the territory of the park in 150 hectares about 500,000 trees and bushes, 1360 different types grow. Among them the huge amount of rare and exotic breeds is presented. In the last decades in local media the problem of cutting of century trees and their so-called topping repeatedly rose. The last consists in radical cutting of the corona of broad-leaved trees leading to the fact that the plant is formed as a powerful trunk with rather small corona on it top. Shymkent is characterized by high standing of underground waters that causes existence of several spring sources directly in the downtown. The Koshkarata River source. The Koshkarata River originates in the center of Shymkent from underground water sources which open numerous springs near the railway station. Along a source in the bed of the river the recreation area is organized, squares are broken, the embankment is arranged well. There are specially allotted places for bathing. Koshkarata bears in herself special cultural and historical value. Being located on the Great Silk Way, in the ancient times she was of great importance for the passing caravans. The fact that Koshkarata is a source of pure spring water in the Middle Ages predetermined development of the city in close proximity. The river is the place of a pilgrimage because of Koshkarata's mausoleum located on its coast. In 2010 it received the status of a specially protected area of local value. Originating near the railway station, Koshkarata proceeds from the east on the west. Crosses Square Ordubasa, behind which is divided into two courses. One of them, bending around Al-Farabi Square from east outskirts, flows away in the northern direction, another follows further on the east to the industrial sector of Abayski district. Hoshkarata hobbles on, the old city, crosses Shymkent Street, Republiki Avenue. The river to dietary supplements originates at a northwest slope of Mount Karzantau. Proceeds on the southern outskirts of Shymkent, mainly in his industrial part. From two in-city boundaries, work on improvement of the river embankment was done. It is planned to create infrastructure for a sports complex on rowing. Despite a stop of the large industrial plants in Shymkent, the phosphoric and lead plants, and decrease in production capacities of other enterprises, the ecological situation in the city in recent years worsened. So, in 2011, Shymkent took the second place in the rating of the cities of Kazakhstan on impurity of air. The ecological situation began to become aggravated sharply when the number of cars in the city exceeded a threshold in 300,000 units. Motor transport share in air pollution made about 80% of the general gross emission. Formaldehyde became the main pollutant of air in Shymkent. According to the conducted researches, on average in the city his content in air by 4 times exceeded maximum permissible concentration. For the beginning of June 2018 in the rating of the cities of the world polluting the atmosphere carbon dioxide. Within the projective net model of a carbon trace in the world GAJMF. Shymkent took the 298th place with indicators of emission of carbon dioxide and 7.3 megatons in a year. In this list appeared also Almaty, the 95th place at 25.2 megatons in a year. Astana, the 178th place at 12.9 megatons. And Aktobe, the 421st place at 5.3 megatons. On September 21, 2016, the logo of Shymkent was approved. On a logo, the tulip with use of the Kazakh national ornaments is represented. Under a tulip, the calligraphical font executed an inscription with the name of the city. Possibly the choice of a tulip as a basic element of a logo is connected with the fact that the mountains of the southern Kazakhstan, which were located near Shymkent, are the endemic place of growth of redbook tulips of Grega and Kaufman. Tulips of Grega were taken out from local open spaces to Holland and to other countries. Shymkent, one of the leading industrial and economic centers of Kazakhstan. In the city there are industrial enterprises of non-ferrous metallurgy, mechanical engineering, the chemical, oil processing and food industry. In Soviet period the largest enterprise of the city were nowadays stopped existence. The Chepo, phosphorus, producing the yellow phosphorus and tripolyphosphate of sodium, the Shymkent tire plant, which was Enpo Shymkentshina, making tires, and the mechanical plant. Nowadays petrochemical and pharmaceutical industry is presented by such enterprises as Petrokazakhstan Oil Products LP, the former Shymkent oil refinery, Shymkent Efsintaz, oil refining, Jestkim farm, production of medicines, metallurgical, Jestkus polymetal, which was Cheech, the Shymkent lead plant, production of lead, etc. Products. Mechanical engineering, Jest Cardenval. Production of drive shafts and crosspieces for cars and tractors. Jest use mash. Production of forge and press machines, spare parts and the equipment. Electroparrot LP. Production of power switches and other products. The enterprises of light industry, rising. Production of garments from woolen and half-woolen fabrics. Suits, a coat, jackets, etc. Adel. Textile production. Elastic. Production of socks from high-quality yarn. Construction materials make Jest Shymkent cement. The former Shymkent cement works. Purely's materials. Production of a construction brick. And others. Also in the city Jest Shymkent May. The former Maychuk. And Kaner LP. Processing of seeds of a cotton sunflower, Carthamus soy, production of the edible refined oil, etc. Products. Jest Shymkent Pivo. Production of beer. Jest Visit. Production of soft drinks. Jest Shymkent Sut. Production of dairy products. Etc. Work. In 2019, industrial production of the city in comparison with 2018 increased by 15%. Agricultural production increased by 6.3%, housing construction, for 19.2%, retail trade, for 7.1%. Within 3 years within the program of industrial innovative development in Shymkent 24 enterprises were open, 1,300 constant jobs are created. In the city 2 industrial zones function. 64 billion tenges of investments are attracted, 72 projects are started, more than 4,000 people are employed. Following the results of 2019 in city economy, it has attracted investments for the sum of 194.5 billion tenges. In 2019 in the territory of the city 10 investment projects for the total amount of 25.6 billion tenges, within which 420 new jobs were created or implemented. In the city 2 industrial zones function. Utsk -337 hectares and Tassay -89 hectares. The total area of the land plots allocated under industrial zones is 426 hectares. In the territory of Shymkent, the project on creation of a transport and logistics zone with 6 investment projects for the total amount of 33 billion tenges is implemented. The total area of the land plot is 92 hectares. For attracting investors to the city, the new industrial zone, SLIAS, of 306 hectares is created. At the first stage development of 76 hectares. 2020-2021. At the second stage of 230 hectares is planned. 2021-2022. Along with it, for creation of additional incentives for potential investors began when process on creation of the agro-industrial zone, Shymkent, of 136 hectares where wholesale and retail warehouses and the agricultural enterprises will be placed. Implementation of 6 investment projects is planned for the sum of 8 billion tenges. In the city there is also a work on creation of a special economic zone of town planning type, Shymkent City, in the territory of 427 hectares. At implementation of the project, involvement of the foreign companies such as Hyvel, South Korea, Kinder World, Singapore, and Aryappi, Turkey, as a result of which in city economy $1.5 billion of investments will be attracted is expected. Within the project, it is planned to provide with housing 50,000 citizens. Shymkent, one of the most fast-growing cities of the CIS. During independence of Kazakhstan, the population of Shymkent grew by 68.5%. In 1992 and 273 in 2013. The territory of the city increased for years of independence of Kazakhstan more than twice. 130 km. To the head of the 1990th and 400 km. To 2011. In these conditions, there is a problem of proportional growth of engineering networks. Water supply of Shymkent is made from spring underground sources. Kazakhstan and Badam-Sayramsky fields, the spring Kaisel 2. Extent of networks of a water supply system -1764.7 km that covers 82% of the population of the city. The sewer network is designed by self-flowing. Shymkent has 6 main collectors. The extent of sewer network is 427.6 km. Coverage of the population, about 60%. These constructions are calculated on utility fluids, drains of the industrial enterprises, storm and drainage drains. Design productivity of sewer treatment facilities of the city is 197,000 cp/days. Shymkent is provided with systems centralized 40%, and the decentralized heat supply dispersed across the territory of the city 60%. In the city there is a developed system of thermal networks in a zone of placement of the largest heat sources. Need of Shymkent for the electric power in summertime makes 70-85 mm, in winter -80-135 mm. The city has no deficiency in the electric power. The main sources of the electric power are Jesk 3 Energortalik 21%, Jesk Jambil State District Power Plant 42%, Ekabastas Gres -1 LP 33%, and Jesk Shardarinsky Hydroelectric Power Station 4%. Extent of power lines is 1956 km. Extent of pipeline networks -1596.1 km. Coverage of the population gas supply -80.5%. As of 2020, the level of gasification of Shymkent is 92.1%. In Shymkent, the international airport, the railway station works. Also in city boundaries. Near the inhabited massive 2 stories. The sports airfield for parachutists is located. Prior to the beginning of the old years, the trolleybus park functioned. Network of highways and streets in Shymkent, one of the most extended in Kazakhstan, which total length before accession of new territories was 1034 km. Taking into account the attached lands, the total length of all city roads for September
2016, 2810 km of all in Shymkent there are 1964 streets.
Without the attached territories -1351.
Shymkent, one of the most loaded by motor transport the city of Kazakhstan. For 2011 in it 390,134 motor transportation units were registered. On the second place after Almaty -550,000 for the same period. At the same time the capacity of a street road network of the city -240,000 cars. These circumstances caused jams and traffic jams in rush hours in many districts of the city. According to the conducted researches, in 2010 the maximum motor transportation load on the central highway of Shymkent. The handout Taukana, the handout of the Republic, made 2760 cars an hour, 0.8 cars a second. The maximum daily load on this highway made 30,000 cars. In 2011 in the city there were about 750 bus stops, 1150 units of buses and minibuses served residents along 81 various routes. In total for 2020 buses transported 422.4 million passengers. 1.15 million passengers on average in day. There are 5 railway stations. Shymkent, Mankent, Aries 1, Aries 2, Park. City media. The regional political newspaper, Southern Kazakhstan. It is published also in the Kazakh and Uzbek languages. Regional political newspaper, Panorama Shymkenta. Regional weekly promotional and informational newspaper, Rio. Regional weekly advertising newspaper of Sphere Bar. The regional weekly public newspaper, Robot. Leaves in a bilingual format in the Russian and Kazakh languages. TV channels Otterer, Agek, Fantastic, Tiek. The newspaper for rational life, the City of Masters. The cultural policy which is carried out in the city proceeds, first of all, from the developed way of life of the population, synthesis of original national cultures of multi-ethnic society of the southern Kazakhstan. In Shymkent 19 cultural national centers work. Kazakh, Slavic, Uzbek, Tatabashkir, Greek, German, Jewish, Korean, Kurdish, Polish, Azerbaijani, etc. With their participation and support national holidays are spent, issues of improvement of educational and educational activity, national policy and leisure of the population of Shymkent are resolved. The House of Friendship of the People of S. Seyfulin is provided for their work. In 2002 in Shymkent, the Avenue of Veterans was revived. 8 parks and squares work in the city, 3 of them were based in the middle of 19th and the beginning of the 20th century. The Regional Philharmonic Hall of Shens. Teldayakov, which old building was reconstructed. Actually short was demolished and it is constructed new, under the guise of reconstruction. In 2010 works. There are 3 movie theaters, Arsenal, Kinepark 5 and Cinemax.
Exhibits of an era of the state Kanji are exposed in the Regional Museum of Local Lore founded in 1920.
The Southern Kazakhstan Regional Museum of the Victims of Political Repressions opened in 2001 functions. The art gallery works. 28 libraries work in the city. There are the Park of a Bay, an aquapark, Science and Technology Park, the Ethnographic Ken Woman Park.
There is a children's railroad, about 6 km long, connecting a northern part of the city to the Arboretum, a zoo, a hippodrome. The children's railroad in Shymkent was one of the longest and large-scale in the USSR. Also, it is the type of extra street passenger transport, only in the history of the city, independent of a road situation. As of September 1, 2011, the children's railroad in Shymkent didn't function, but her restoration was supposed. In 2007, the mega Shymkent shopping mall was open. In 2017, Shymkent Plaza Shopping Center, one of the best shopping entertainment centers in Kazakhstan, was open. In Shymkent, the Southern Kazakhstan Regional Russian Drama Theater, the Southern Kazakhstan Regional Kazakh Drama Theater of Shanin Opera and Ballet Theater of the Southern Kazakhstan area, Theater of Satire and Humor of the Southern Kazakhstan area, and Puppet Theater of the Southern Kazakhstan area function. On December 20, 2009, by the Independence Day, the new city ensemble, Zhybek Avenue and Square of Tura-Riskolov was open. He is located around crossing of Tura-Riskolov Street and Zhybek Avenue. Nankinskoy Highway earlier. The project of ensemble is developed by Management of Architecture and Town Planning of UCO. Authors of the monument to Tura-Riskolov established in the square, the Shymkent sculptors Doran Albakov and Nasser Rustmov. To the 20th anniversary of independence of the Republic of Kazakhstan in 2011, in the territory which was earlier entering the Park of Abadi building of the fort. After Almaty, Astana and Karaganda. In the Circus Republic on 1200 seats is put in operation. Sites. Before entry into structure of the Russian Empire. Till 1864. The city consisted of a chaotic interlacing of twisting streets around a citadel of the ancient settlement Shymkent. So called Old City. But after in 1867 it becomes the district city of the Sodaria region, to the north from Old, the new city. The area having the correct rectangular and quarter planning of streets gradually begins to be built. He was limited Nikolov. Nowadays Kazibek by Step Boulevard Kuneyev Garden and Takhana and Petit Bourgeois. Nowadays Turkestan by streets. Now in the city 1964 streets, total length of all streets and highways make 2135 km. During the existence the street visited 3 historical eras. In the Russian Empire. Then it was called Nikolov. Then in the Soviet Union. I was called Soviet. And at present in independent Kazakhstan. Nowadays Kazibek by. At the end of the 19th century at crossing Nikolov with garden a cathedral garden. Nowadays the Ken Woman Park. And the public gardens was laid out. At present the Central Park. In the cathedral garden the Nikolsky Cathedral was built. Now it is puppet theater in the Ken Woman Park. See further. Nikolovskaya Street began near a citadel of the ancient settlement near the old city at the market square. Nowadays square or Debasa. And gave continuation to a gain-built area. It became the central street of the new city. Now on Kazakh Street of Bai, some of the oldest buildings of the city are located. So, on personal means of the priest Dmitry Voznesensky in 1875, the building, nowadays known as School Gymnasium No. 8 was built. Initially in the National School was located. In 1886 on the project of the architect 5S. Kind Salman to address Nikolov 9 Church of Street. Sergius of Radonez was constructed. After formation of the Soviet power of her dome were dismantled and the building was transformed to Philharmonic Hall. By 2010 within reconstruction, the old building of Philharmonic Hall was demolished, having built absolutely new building on his place. On the same street in the second half of the 19th century, the military hospital, which was transformed to regional clinical hospital, later was constructed. Along Kazakh Street of Bai on a piece where it is crossed by Gonieliev Street and Square, Ordubasa, other ancient buildings are located. The former city Akamat, the building of Museum of Local Law and the Union of Lawyers of Kazakhstan and others. In 1885, during construction of the new city, the district chief issued the decree in which it was said, when planning the central streets, to allocate 2 quarters under the public gardens, to carry out construction of a garden from a permission and under observation of the city architect. Thus, by 1890 in the city 2 public gardens along Nikolavskaya Street, the cathedral and public gardens appeared. At the moment in Shymkent there are 9 parks. The Ethnopark Kenny Woman, the Central Park, Victory Park, the Park of Metallurgists, the Park of Abbey, the Park of Independence, Science and Technology Park, World of Imaginations, the Zoo, the Arboretum. Park Ken Woman. This park. Earlier Cathedral Garden, the Nikolsky Church Park, the Children's Park. Is one of the oldest in the city, is located on Kazakh Street of Bai at crossing with the Handout Taukana. In 1908 on the project of the architect Matsevich in the Nikolsky Cathedral, which was opened in the fall of 1914, was put. This 3-story building is considered one of the best models of cult construction in Krasnokirpishny style. In the Soviet years it was transformed to regional library, later to the Palace of Pioneers, nowadays it is regional puppet theater. The trees of valuable breeds. Generally oaks. Planted here at the end of 19th and at the beginning of the 20th century still grow in the park. Now here numerous children's attractions, institutions of public catering are located. Water of a spring source goes to the artificial falls flowing into decorative ponds, then water is redistributed on channels. Waterfowl, swans, ducks, etc. In water, decorative fishes are occupied. Central Park. This park. Earlier, the public gardens. Is also located on Kazakh Street by near the park Kenny Woman. He was also put at the end of the 19th century practically along with the cathedral garden. The old city began to appear thanks to handicraftsmen and farmers who began to lodge at the bottom of a citadel of the ancient settlement Shymkent in the 16th century. Today streets of the old city repeat outlines of streets of the last centuries. But so far only 2 architectural objects of a century before last, the Mosque Koshkarota and the house of the district chief, remained. During the late period of the Soviet Union, the plan for preservation of the old city as museum under the open sky with special requirements to again build buildings was created to combine historical and modern architectural style. But the plan wasn't adopted. Ordobosa Square. In the 19th century there passed the eastern frontier of the city here, and the surf gate conducting in Soris and Taras were located here. In those days nearby the market, therefore this area was called Market, was located. The same name was received by the street which originated from this area. Now 3 streets called by the names great the Kazakh people Tolbai, Kazibekov Bai, Atakov Bai meet on Square Ordobosa. Directly in the center of the area the monument, Otanana, is built. The monument has 3 sides 34 meters high, on each side the known sayings 3 great are cut. Top of a monument the figure of the young woman which releases into the sky 7 swallows' crowns. Under the area the river Koshkarata flows. Directly in her gushing complexes in close proximity to a monument are established. Square Ordobosa connects to the Park of Independence through the bridge of 104 meters. Mosque Koshkarata. The mosque arose in 1850-1856. It was built by the Fergana masters in style of quarter mosques of frontal composition. Initially the building was built of an adobe brick, but because of flooding by the river it collapsed over time. Therefore in 1891-1893 the building of the mosque was newly built up from a burned brick. The main facade was executed in the form of a 3-arch construction. The building had the right and left wing. In 2009 the left wing was destroyed in spite of the fact that the mosque is protected by the law as a monument of architecture. The house of the district chief was built soon after accession of the city to the Russian Empire. Here many famous people visiting Shymkent stopped. For example, the world-famous Orientalist Vasily Bartold. The building is known that in it Ahmet Kenesarin, the son of the last Khan of 3 Kazakh Shuzes of Kenesar Kasimov, worked. The oldest place of trade in the territory of modern Shymkent. Recorded the first in documents mentioned treats the beginning of last century, and according to aged men business on this place is done more than 300 years. Today Kirji Bazaar is not only the place of an attraction of locals, but also tourists. The Shymkent State Zoo was organized in 1979 and is an important site of the city and all region. In the official afternoon the birth of a zoo is considered on April 29, 1980. Total area is 54 hectares. A wonderful park in which about 3,500 of decorative and 50 species of fruit trees, 10 species of tea and hybrid rose bushes are landed is broken into 34 hectares of display area. The first collection of a zoo contained 75 types and 350 units of animals and birds. Here regularly deer, arcura, aponi, tiger pythons, lions and other animals breed. Today, the Shymkent State Zoo, a peculiar and unique corner of wildlife. Since July 2010 are a part of the Eurasian Regional Association of Zoos and Aquariums. One of the main missions of a zoo is preservation and cultivation of the rare animals in the nature included in the Red List of Kazakhstan. Also, employees of a zoo conduct for visitors tours, radio lectures, conversations during which biologists and leading experts share the knowledge of animals. A zoo, one of the most popular vacation spots of citizens and guests of Shymkent. Annually the zoo is visited by more than card people. The Shymkent Arboretum was broken in 1979 on the place of the former city dump. In the years of the blossoming it occupied 151 hectares and contained 500,000 trees and 1360 species of bushes. It is a lot of rare and exotic breeds which anymore in Kazakhstan don't grow anywhere. The collection was valuable material for carrying out research works on dendrology, for studying of adaptability of separate plant species to local climatic conditions. Here for the first time in Kazakhstan it was succeeded to grow up a tulip tree which homeland is North America. In the territory of the park the special avenue of trees, they landed such famous people as Din Muhammad Konayev, Nursultan Nazarbayev, Mukhtar Oyezov, Asanbey Askarev, Sulaiman Demirel and others is located. Extensive reconstruction of the Arboretum began in 2008. Reconstruction consisted in improvement of an entrance to the park and the territories intended for visitors. There was a new entrance arch which became a peculiar hallmark of the park. Also the irrigating system and the lake were restored, avenues, arbors, bridges, new architectural forms are equipped. Sculptural objects were restored. Today the space of the Arboretum is occupied by 120.5 hectares. In it more than 600 types of tree and shrubby species of the grassy plants representing flora of the most various geographical zones of the world. After reconstruction the Shymkent Arboretum received the status of a specially protected area of regional value. The name of Asanbey Askarev is appropriated to him. The Arboretum, one of favorite vacation spots of citizens and city visitors, the real oxygen shop of Shymkent, fine object of Massachusetts tourism and wedding festivities. The Victories Park was opened in 1945 in honor of the celebration of a victory in that war, his present name Zeniz. The territory of the park located at the intersection of Tok Avenue of the Khan and Elshibek Street of the Bator, small only 2 hectares. Here the 70th summer trees of various breeds grow, and more than 1,500 bushes of roses are seated along paths. In the center of the park the fountain in the form of a star and the granite stele devoted to memory of the fallen soldiers is located. The park was restored in 2012, and since then his entrance is decorated by a copper statue of the hero of the Great Patriotic War, the Iron General of Sabayir Rakhimov. Opening first and still only monument to the hero of the Soviet Union S. Rakhimov in the country was dated for the 110th anniversary from the date of his birth. In the park there is also a museum, in which objects of the Great Patriotic War, archives and photos are exposed. The museum, including 4 exposition halls and gallery, was opened in December 2012. In the first hall, Heroism and Courage, materials are devoted to South Kazakhstan citizens, participants of the Second World War. Subject of the second hall, labor feat of South Kazakhstan citizens. The third hall of an exposition is devoted to the war in Afghanistan. In library, books, documentary and art, devoted to military subject among which a specific place is held by the Book of Memory, are collected. Visitors of the museum can work directly here with this literature. Monuments. Walk of Fame. It is open in 2010 in the city park of Abay to Victory Anniversary. The composition includes a granite circle with the cut surnames of heroes of the Soviet Union and gentlemen of the Award of Glory, and also 2 marble steels on which names of 140,000 soldiers called on the Great Patriotic War are immortalized. The Memorial de Plain, which was earlier on Ordobosa Square, crowns the area of Kubashev. Monument to Zamalbek Shaymurdanov. It is established in January 2013. Monument to Sabaya Rakimov. It is established in September 2012. Monument to Beyderbekov Bay. It is open in October 2012. Monument highest in the country. Monument to Beykat Alpizbayev. It is established in October 2011. Monument to Baursan Mamashuli. In the city, 20 specialized firms and institutions are engaged in rendering tourist services. The directions of routes provide such types of tourism as visit of historical places, travel to exotic areas, hunting and fishing, mountaineering. The monument represents Beyderbek's sculpture standing on a high pedestal and stretching hands to the place of sunrise. Opening of a monument Beyderbekov Bay in the city of Shymkent took place in the fall of 2012 and was dated for the 80th anniversary of the southern Kazakhstan area celebrated that year. It is the highest monument in the country. For installation of a monument, one of the highest points of a northern part of the city of Shymkent -220 meters is chosen. The 4-meter embankment and a 9-meter pedestal was added to this mark. Height of the figure is 10 meters, considering height of an embankment, pedestal and the monument towers on 23 meters. The figure, with a gross weight of 9 tons, was made of shod copper in 20 days. Approximately in 300 meters to the south of a monument, the 15-meter monument devoted to the 550th anniversary of the Kazakh Khanate is downhill located. The monument is formed by 2 tent arches blocking each other. Their crossing forms symbolical, a symbol of the house, a home, reproduction. The monument is a part of the ethnohistorical Kazina complex, which in total occupies the space in 76.4 hectares. Local History Museum. The museum began the work in 1920 as the Shymkent Pedagogical Museum and Pedagogical Laboratory of Serdiyinsky Regional Department of National Education. In 1977, and specially built new building, the staff of the museum created an exposition of the nature and the history of the region. In 1984, the Shymkent Museum for the first time carried out independent field works on excavation of the settlement Altintob, and in 1988 the ancient settlement Zhuantob research was begun. In 2014, the President of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev, opened the new building. The total area of the museum is 5,000 square m. The museum consists of 4 halls: nature, paleontology, archaeology, ethnography, Kazakh Khanate and New Century, independent Kazakhstan. The fund of the museum and its branches contains more than 109,000 exhibits. Square Noris, opened in 2013, is the venue of cultural events and festivities.
The main entertaining attraction of ensemble is the park zone, Shylakal, and main business card, a big wheel of Shymkent Altinai.
One of the oldest theaters of the country. The name of the Kazakh director, playwright, one of founders of the Kazakh professional theater Zhumat Shanin was appropriated to theater. In 2014 the theater moved to the new building, the three-storied construction built in a combination of classical and modern style. The main facade is decorated with 4 columns.
The Memorial Patriot Complex was constructed in memory of the victims of political repressions in the ravine known as a Fox Beam, which was the place of Massachusetts executions in 1937-1938.
The broken marble blocks in 2 metal cages and the crying eye built in a wall behind a lattice. Nearby the big naked plate covers a grave where the victims are buried. At top of the hill there is mother's statue holding the child.
The exposition and rooms are created Kendabayim Karabdalovim, who recreated more than 10 musical instruments, various clay household appliances and jugs.
Pashli Kiluit is located underground, being a peculiar hillvit, an ancient underground construction with prayerful rooms. Flory Memorial. The memorial consists of a number of the monuments connected among themselves in uniform composition, the foundation for which it was laid in the late 70s. It begins with an obelisk of the eternal flame, or 2 high steels, one propping up another, the meaning unity of the front and back. The walk of fame on which both sides -200-meter plates on which more than card names are cut continues composition. Here surnames of southern Kazakhstan citizens which were mobilized for war are immortalized.
The museum is devoted to memory of the people affected by political prosecutions and repressions of 1937-1938.
It was opened in November 2001. The building of the museum was built on the project of the honored architect of Kazakhstan Amanzil Naimanbaya. The exposition of the museum occupies 2 halls. It is the hall with the exhibits and the hall of grief. In the middle of the museum the sculpture Repression is established. Russian Drama Theater. One of the first theaters opened in Kazakhstan. In 1949 the theater transferred the base to Uralsk, but soon returned to Shymkent as theater of the musical comedy. 1958 when the Shymkent troupe was created is considered a rebirth of theater. The same year on September 17 the decision on the approval of the project on construction of the new building of theater in the city of Shymkent was made. Construction was begun in March 1965 and finished in October 1967. At the beginning of the odd years the building of theater was reconstructed. The Central Mosque, one of religious sites of the city of Shymkent.
Opened in May 2013 at the initiative of Nazarbayev with assistance of the President of the U.S. Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed of Labaman.
First Secretaries of a City-Town Committee. Osachik Nikolay Grigorievich 1959-1960. Berestimov Cabin 1963 Tinybayev Dubamak Balanovich 1971-1975 Kostin Albert Mikhailovich from 1978 to 1981. Borisov Vladimir Ivanovich. Politician 1985 Chairman of the Executive Committee of the City Soviet of People's Deputies. Tinybayev Dubamak Balanovich 1967 Berdelin, Aitbek Mashrapovich 1962, 12.1964. Akins. Shanov, Amalbek Kazakhstan. On February 21, 1992, on December 15, 1993. Beljabayev, Sikyondaikovich. On December 15, 1993, on October 16, 1995. Orman Anarbek Ongaruli. On October 16, 1995, on December 14, 1997. Izbastaskanov, Klyshek Satilganovich. On December 14, 1997, on May 14, 1999. Bekshigatov, Tortay Tunjishevich. On May 14, 1999, on January 17, 2001. Zilkishide, Bolat Apapaparali. On March 15, 2001, August 2002. Zumsayev, Kalimzon Kiralbekovich. On September 10, 2002, on February 17, 2006. Orman Anarbek Ongaruli. On September 27, 2006, on February 19, 2008. Zetpasbayev Armen Karabevich. On February 19, 2008, on April 24, 2012. Moldastuv, Kairit Kasinovich. On April 24, 2012, on May 27, 2013. Satabalda, Darkhan Aminjaldich. On May 27, 2013, on August 19, 2015. Sorenbayev, Nerlin Ermekovich. On November 7, 2017, on June 19, 2018. Abdrakimov, Kabidullah Rakhmatulayev. On August 19, 2015, on October 31, 2017. Since June 20, 2018, on July 30, 2019. Itakanov Erlan Kwanishevich. Since July 30, 2019, on January 21, 2020. Itanev Murat Tysenbekovich. Since January 21, 2020. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.